Inertia is the lack of ability to start something new, to switch tasks, to get started, basically. And I had this problem a lot when I was a kid. I still have that problem, but I'm always fighting it for all it's worth. My brain was very much asleep when I was a child until, sadly, I discovered caffeine at age 14. And I have to say that, unfortunately, I've been consuming caffeine on a daily basis, although one of my biggest goals right now is to try and cut it down drastically. I almost feel like my body wouldn't know what to do without it now. And it started with the fact that I really did feel asleep. Or my brain I was so sensory overloaded as a child, often that I was an avoider and I would shut out and shut down. And it was really, really ridiculous how little that was recognized for me. And my mother would constantly say, "You have a lazy streak. Oh, you have a lazy streak." Well, what if I told you that there's a name for that lazy streak and it's called inertia? I'm reading a lot about inertia right now, and it's really fascinating. I'm going to attach the article written by an autistic person themselves. Excellent description. I'm going to write about it more in my book. Just wanted to say that you're not necessarily lazy. A failure could be struggling with inertia, especially if you're on the autism spectrum or have ADD. Inertia is something that affects ADDers quite a bit too. I pinpointed one area of the article that talked about sensory avoidance and like this almost addictive tendency to avoid and escape. That's one of the main sort of features, or one of the main underlying factors of inertia, is being overwhelmed and overloaded with too many things to process. And just another one is comfort, or not wanting to change to the unknown. When you're repeatedly doing something in a certain way that works, when you're so fragile in the first place to sensory and new information, the last thing you want to do after you finally get used to something, you finally learn how to process it with your brain, is to go and switch to something else. So yeah, just a quick sort of blurb video about inertia. Have a read of the article. I'm still studying it. I'd like to learn more about the real internal mechanisms, because I think it could help me a lot. When I think about it, I think I might have been when I sort of had a social shutdown there and started having a really painfully hard time answering messages from people, because I was just getting so many long messages and I couldn't keep up, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to sensorially keep up. And I might have been really experiencing some hardcore inertia there, which isn't my fault. So that's why I have to sort of, when I go about connecting with people, I have to do it in a different way, and I have to sort of put forth that I am autistic and I'm not going to be able to connect in certain ways, as much as I'm going to find every way under the sun to get around those ways that I'm not able to connect, right? And trying to explain them in a succinct way without having to over-explain. I shouldn't have to over-explain, and if I have to do that, then that's up to the other party for not being understanding. But yeah, I mean, inertia, big struggle. Maybe you're not just lazy, and maybe you don't have a lazy streak, and maybe you're not just a failure and a drone and whatever else you might have been made to believe about yourself growing up. Food for thought.